Hi everyone. So in this video, we're going to be talking about MLA formatting. There's not going to be a quiz embedded in this video, but you're going to need to watch it because otherwise you won't be able to pass your MLA formatting quiz. So if you look into part 2 under February 22nd through the 25th, in part 2 you will see these files in here. There's an MLA format presentation that you'll need to watch that explains how to do MLA formatting for your documents. It also contains this document here, which has some of that same information about what your first page of your document is supposed to look like. You should have your name on the left side, your name, my name, the name of the class. This gets sometimes this confuses students a little bit when we're on campus because humanities is a building, but it's actually, in this case, humanities is the class. So for in our case, it would be ENGL 102 is the name of the class here. But again, when you watch that other video, it'll make that clear as well. Then you've got the date in this format, the day, the month, and then the year, no commas, anything like that. You've got a title that's going to be centered. You've got a 1/2 inch indent for each paragraph. So, and then you've got your last name and the page number at the top of every single page. And again, the a video that you're going to watch in there shows you specifically how to go about that. So you've got the and that's a video that will show you specifically how to do some of those things. I'm going to talk about here then because the video, this video talks, and it's more like a slide presentation, but it talks about how to do the first page, where to put your page number, all those things. So make sure to watch that. The one I'm going to talk about here, these two document works cited page. So what a works cited page is when we hold on, let me kind of center this. This is off a little bit. What a works cited page is when we say where we got our quotes from, right? When you are going to be quoting something in an essay, you have to say where specifically that information came from. And that's going to be in your works cited page. To cite means to say that here are the ones that I use, right? And so we say here are the ones that I actually used in the document. So we have a page. It is its own page. It is always going to be its own page, even if the last page of your essay has plenty of room to put the works cited information on it. You have to have a new page, right, for your works cited page. So your works cited page is its own page, as I said. It needs to say works cited there and have that centered. Okay, it's got a page number, a last name and a page number, just like everything else. And then it's got this interesting thing here, what we call a hanging indent. So if we look back on the previous document, you can see that in a regular paragraph you're used to, the first line of a regular paragraph is indented a 1/2 inch. When we do works cited entries, we do the opposite. Think about this first entry here as being a paragraph, and it's all of the subsequent lines. It's not the first line that's indented, it's all the other lines that are indented a 1/2 inch. Okay? And so it's kind of backwards. And the reason that we do that is because works cited pages, works cited entries have the last names of people, and that's rather important. And when that hangs off of the end, it's easy to find the name that you're looking for. Okay, so that first line hangs off the edge, and so we can say there's one entry because it's hanging over the edge, and I can see that name Edwards. And then I get to the next one. Where's the next one? Oh, I skip over the space here. Oh, look, it's Gaines. That's going to be the next person that we have here. And so that's how we want to think about that. It's double spaced all the way through. No extra spaces between each one. You don't hit extra entry spaces between those. No extra spaces between where it says works cited and the first entry. No extra spaces up here. It doesn't go in the middle of the page. It just goes right at the top of the page, only 1 inch from the top of the page. So in general, that is what your works cited page should look like. Now, for our purposes, for the papers that you're going to, the projects you're going to be working on and for the quiz that you're going to be working on, you're only going to have one entry, right? Which is okay. It just has one entry because you only use one source. For the projects you're going to be working on, your source is going to be whatever poem you are writing about, and I will provide you when you before we do our your rough draft. I will provide you with all the information you need to fill in that works cited page. But in general, that is what this is supposed to look like. And then this next here, where it says works cited format for poems and stories. Poems and stories work the exact same way. So I have this document. It says, it's right there in the folder, how to cite a poem or story from an anthology. An anthology is a group of poems and or stories in a book. Okay, and the works that we're going to be writing about come from anthologies. They come from books that have a number of stories or poems in them. And again, poems or stories work exactly the same way. So when we begin writing about stories for the next section for writing project number 2, in a couple of months or so, you're going to use this exact same format. So what I have here on this document, this is kind of color coded, and it explains to you all the information that you're going to need here. So the way what your works cited entry is going to look like is something like this, right? Notice that it's got that hanging indent. Okay, it begins with the last name, comma, then first name of the author, and see how it's hanging over the edge there, so we can see, oh, that's the author. It's Carter. Yours will be something like Lee, who's the author of Persimmons, or I forget the name of the other the name of the other authors. Espada, who's the author of The Threads That Connect the Stars. So it would say Espada, comma Martin. Notice that there's a period in here, right? These punctuation marks are not optional. They're important because they let us know, look, we're done with the name here. So it's last name, comma, first name, period. We're done with the name. Okay, so everybody is clear that we're finished with the name section. We're ready to move to the next section. And notice that I have these kind of color coded down here. So you can see yellow is last name, comma, first name of the author, period. Then here in the green, we have the title of the poem or the story. And it has to be in quotation marks, right? And so yours would say what it's like to be a black girl for those of you who aren't, period. Or of the threads that connect the stars, period, or persimmons, period, or dot head, period. And that would have to be in quotation marks. And so again, it explains what that green is down there. And again, they need to be in this particular order because if they're not in this order, then somebody who is trying to find this book would be confused, right? If we put it in the same order, then it's very easy to tell. Oh, look, name, name of the author, name of the work, name of the book it comes from, and then all this other information that comes afterwards. So in blue, it says title of the anthology. Again, in anthologies, the book that we found all that in. The title of the anthology, and this one it's called Burning Your Boats, The Collected Stories. That's the name of the anthology. I will provide you with the name of the anthologies for Persimmons, Dot What It's Like to Be a Black Girl, the poems that you'll have to use. You don't know what those are yet, but I'll provide those to you. Comma, right? And that comma is important. Look at all these details here. You're just going to look at all the little things in here. Comma, Penguin. Penguin is the publisher. It's the name of the publisher. It's called Penguin. So, and again, I will tell you what the publisher is for the ones that you need. Then you'll put the year that it was published, right? Comma, the year that was published, another comma, and then the pages that it comes on. Okay. And so if you look down here on your quiz, you're going to have to turn this thing down here into a works cited entry, and you'll see that I've written it in this way that doesn't at all look like this. Okay, I have written it in like plain English, and then you'll need to translate that. So it says, Out of Body was written by Jennifer Egan and appears in her book A Visit from the Goon Squad, which was published by Anchor Books in 2010, pages 56 through 71. You can't just copy and paste this up here. You would have to say, all right, the first thing I need is the last name and first name of the author. Well, that's Jennifer Egan, right? Do I just put Jennifer Egan? No, you don't just put Jennifer Egan. You put Egan, comma, Jennifer. Do I just run right into the title? No, no. Egan, comma, Jennifer, period. Then you do the title, right? The title of the story is called Out of Body. So in the quiz, you're going to go through all of that specific information. So I have the information on this here on this document, but you will also find it in the folder for the MLA formatting quiz. Sorry, it's just taking a second for the computer. When I'm recording, it takes a while. It's taking longer than it should. But inside the folder for the MLA formatting quiz, there it goes, you have right, and this is an essay that somebody wrote, another student wrote, um, and it's not formatted correctly. And so you're going to format it correctly. And the instructions tell you to do that. How to put a heading up there, how to put a page number and your last name at the top of the at the top. You're going to do all that and make this thing look like a proper MLA formatted essay. And then at the very end of it, you're going to add a works cited page. And here I provide all of the works cited information that you're going to need. So the idea is that you're going to format this correctly. Now, on this quiz, if you make some mistakes on this quiz, that's fine. I'm just going to ask you to redo it. And you're going to redo and redo this quiz until you get it perfect. Because what's going to happen is when you turn in your rough draft and final draft for project number one, I will not take it if your MLA formatting is not perfect. It's got to be perfect, but you're going to be practicing it on this quiz. So the easiest way to make sure you spend as little time as possible is to try and do it perfect the first time out. But if you make some mistakes, I'm going to correct them. Give you a 1 on that quiz, and then you're going to have to look at your mistakes and say, okay, I'm ready to resubmit it. So that's what we have for MLA formatting and what we have for the quiz. As always, let me know if you have any questions.